We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on 2 motorcycles. The reports are that Diana has been killed, Dodi Fayed also died, as did the driver of the car.
Lady Diana was one of the world's biggest icons. She single-handedly inspired millions of people around the world far before the word influencer was even forged. But even though she still holds a spot in most people's hearts and was always the brightest person in the room, her end was one of the most tragic and dark of the last few decades. On August 31, 1997, at 12:30 a.m., a car crash in Paris, France left the world gasping for breath. Princess Diana and her then-boyfriend Dodi Fayed were inside the car when it swerved and crashed at high speed against a pillar outside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, crushing the car and killing all but one of the passengers traveling inside. While the accident was considered to be just that, an accident, an enormous amount of conspiracies calling for foul play involvement started emerging. And if you take a closer look at the last few years and the last hours of Lady Diana, those same conspiracies start to look a lot more plausible. The last hours of Lady Diana were sadly a testament of the problems she had been very vocal about since she was first linked to the royal family in 1977. She had always talked about how the paparazzi treated her, her family, and many others like inanimate objects that needed to be photographed at all times. In August 1997, Diana and her then-boyfriend Dodi El Fayed had been staying at the Ritz Paris Hotel, which was owned by Dodi's father, Mohammed Fayed. The pair would often stay at the Ritz to have more privacy and avoid the paparazzi more easily than other hotels could have allowed. That's why when they first arrived, they did so through the back entrance, and when they left, they would always leave through another exit so that no one could spot them. On August 30, 1997, the couple went out for the day at about 4:30 p.m. and returned to the hotel 5 hours later. When they did, they were met with cameras and paparazzi scattered everywhere. The situation was so intense that they couldn't even get dinner at the restaurant of their hotel and had to get their meal delivered to the room instead. But, as you can probably imagine, people don't just visit Paris to stay locked in their hotel rooms all night, and Lady Diana herself was not the type of person to ever let the paparazzi get in the way of her enjoying herself and her time with her loved ones. So, after the pair finished up their dinner and got some rest, they decided to head out again for the night, followed by their bodyguard, Trevor Rhys-Jones, whose job was to help them get safely out of the back entrance of the hotel. Henri Paul, who worked at the hotel as head of security, joined in as the driver right before they left at 12:20 a.m., not knowing that they were minutes away from disaster. Diana and Dodi were in the back of a black Mercedes-Benz W140 S-Class, with Trevor in the front passenger seat next to Henri, who decided to join and act as their driver even though he had been drinking that night, which was later confirmed by a blood alcohol level test, which revealed he was over 3 times France's legal limit, which very likely played an essential role in what happened soon after. Because of how relentless the paparazzi had been throughout Diana's life, and that day in particular, they weren't going to give up until they got the exclusive photos of Diana and her boyfriend. So even though a decoy car had left right before them, they caught on to the trick and started following Diana's car. Fast. Henri tried to speed faster to get rid of them, but when they entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel a mere 3 minutes from their departure, the car swerved right into an iron pillar at 65 miles per hour before crashing into a stone wall, destroying the car entirely. Trevor had buckled up his seatbelt seconds before the crash, and although he was severely injured, he ended up surviving by staying strapped to the seat. Dodi and Henri died a few minutes after the collision, whilst Diana was somehow still breathing when everything came to a halt. There was still time to save her. The paparazzi that had been following Diana that fateful night got to the scenes seconds later, filling up the tunnel with their vehicles, but not all of them reacted the way you'd hope. While some of them did try to save the passengers inside, many of them were just trying to get as many photos of what later was labeled Diana's death as they possibly could. Coincidentally, an off-duty doctor named Dr. Frédéric Malliez was driving home when he stumbled upon the accident site and leaped in to help, not even realizing who he was going in to help. He tried to keep Diana conscious and administered CPR while he waited for the ambulance to arrive. When emergency services got there, they had to use a chainsaw to cut Diana out of her seat, and even then, the paparazzi were still taking photos as if they were on a field trip at the zoo. Diana was allegedly heard saying, "Oh my God," and "leave me alone," but no one really followed her pleas and left her alone. The police had to physically remove the paparazzi from the accident site so the ambulance could have enough room to finally take Diana to the hospital. While Diana was being transported to Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital, she went into cardiac arrest. It was now 1:20 a.m., about 1 hour from the time of the accident. No respiratory circulation could be established even after surgery to close the wounds on both lungs. During surgery, the wounds kept opening back up over and over again, and eventually, her heart gave out, leading to her passing. Diana's family and the royal family were informed of her passing, and a little over 12 hours after she was pronounced dead at 6 p.m., her body was taken from the hospital in Paris back to England by orders of Prince Charles and his sisters. Diana's funeral proceedings began shortly after her arrival back to England and was followed by over 2.5 billion people worldwide who were just as broken to see the People's Princess' sudden and tragic passing. Whilst a lot of people were convinced that the entire event was just a traffic accident, a significant number of fans and public alike found it simply too hard to believe that Diana just happened to die in an accidental car crash, especially with how vocal she had been about the wrongdoings of the royal family, the way they treated her, and Prince Charles himself over the last few years. There were far too many people involved in Diana's life that didn't really mean the best for her, as well as the fact that she was standing up and exposing the darker secrets of the royal family.
Do you think you'll ever be queen?
No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country. I don't think many people would want me to be queen. Actually, when I say many people, I mean the establishment that I'm married into, because they've decided that I'm a non-starter.
So, did Lady Diana really just die in a tragic car crash? Or was someone else pulling the strings to silence her? Let's take a look at some of the most common theories. The first theory is less of a theory per se and more of a fact, but it is the understanding that the paparazzi themselves killed Diana. Prince Harry has repeatedly talked about how his mother struggled to deal with the paparazzi and just wanted to have a normal life several times. One of his most notable quotes about the entire situation is, "Unfortunately, when I think about my mom, the first thing that comes to mind is always the same one over and over again. Strapped in a car, seatbelt across, with my brother in the car as well, and my mother driving, being chased by 3, 4, 5 mopeds with paparazzi on, and she was always unable to drive because of tears. There was no protection. The night she died, she was being chased relentlessly by the paparazzi, and many people believe that it could have been the flash from the cameras that ultimately led to Henri losing control of the car and crashing into the pillar and later brick wall. There are also allegations that the photographers were paid off by someone to make sure that Diana died on that night. But paid off by who? That is where the theory breaks up into multiple smaller theories. The first fingers were pointed at the royal family itself. According to them, they were the ones that killed Diana. This theory suggests that Prince Charles and other royal family members were unhappy with Diana's outspokenness, and they feared that she would embarrass them with her revelations about their personal lives. So, they allegedly plotted to have her killed and make it look like an accident. Former Metropolitan Police Chief John Stevens did at one point interview Prince Charles about being implicated in a plot to kill Diana. At the questioning, Stevens presented a note to Charles claiming to be from Diana, which read, This particular phase in my life is most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car. Brake failure and serious head injuries in order to make the path clear for him to marry Tiggy. Leg Bork, a nanny, with whom Charles was falsely rumored to be having an affair. Camilla is nothing but a decoy, so we're being used by the man in every sense of the word. That's not the only member of the royal family that had an axe to grind with Diana, though, which just took the theories further down a spiral. It was also said that Prince Philip, and in turn, the Queen herself, had Diana killed. Some people believe that Prince Philip was unhappy with Diana's relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed, and he allegedly ordered her death to prevent her from marrying a Muslim man. This could have stemmed from the fact that Dodi's father had talked about a possible engagement, and rumors were floating around that Diana was in fact pregnant with his child. That, paired with the fact that Dodi had brought an engagement ring, all pointed to the fact that a possible marriage for Diana was on the horizon, something that the Queen and Philip did not want. However, there were no medical reports that suggested she was pregnant at the time of her death. Although, since her body was embalmed shortly after her death, which involved the removal of all fluids from the body to be replaced and disposed of, it's also possible that she was pregnant at the time and that the fact was being kept hidden to the media and the world. The Secret Service and MI6 were also thrown into the limelight because of her suspicious death. It's widely believed that they were behind it all. There were rumors that they didn't like the fact that Diana was a threat to the royal family because of how freely she spoke about them. That, paired with the fact that if a popular figure like her were to marry a Muslim man, she might have decided to take the heirs to the throne with her, which the royal family could not accept. The threat to the throne was far too massive to let her live, and so they allegedly employed MI6 to get rid of her.
Those shocking allegations about Princess Diana's death. Authorities now reviewing the new and sensational claim that she was actually murdered by the British government. ABC's chief.
This would explain the shady circumstances around her passing. It's said that Henri wasn't actually the man driving the car, and that he had been replaced with a suicide agent who was meant to crash the car and kill everyone inside, and that Henri had been removed from the entourage before the car even left the hotel. This could be plausible, given that the security footage from the hotel 3 minutes before the accident showed that he appeared totally okay and was showing no signs of being drunk. For him to suddenly be so drunk that he was impaired enough to drive is very hard to believe. It would also explain how Lady Diana, who left the accident site conscious and without major bleeding, arrived at the hospital in a state of dismay and was so badly injured that she could not have been saved. This last theory suggests that Diana faked her own death out of her free will in order to escape the day-to-day life that was impacting her more and more every day. Richard Kay, one of her friends, recalled the moment he spoke to her on the night of her death. "I spoke to her that night. The police said that the last call she made was to me. She was in quite a good place. She wanted to come back and see her boys. She was desperate to try and make a fresh start and do something different, to explore a different kind of royalty." This is a theory that many people want to believe, simply because she was the type of person that people so desperately wanted to see alive, that just the possibility of her maybe being able to get away with it is a far happier ending than the one that was shown to the public. However, considering her death was so closely documented, it's unlikely that this theory could have actually happened in real life. The tragic death of Princess Diana is still shrouded in mystery. While there are many theories about what happened in those last hours, the truth may never be known. So, do you think that there was a darker plot behind Diana's death? Or was her death actually just a tragic accident? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and comment who you would like me to cover next. If you liked this video, make sure to click the one on the screen now.